Hey everybody, Jason Spangler, the SanteeSwapper. I'm trying something new. I used to joke that I feel like sometimes I'm the crash test dummy for this hobby and trying lots of different ideas for how to do things. And so today I'm trying YouTube Live for the first time. I have watched no tutorials. I know not very much at all about what the features are, other than I see there's a chat window going, and so I'll try to utilize that. Done some Facebook Lives in the past, and those have been fine. But like I said, I just like to try out new things, and so I haven't done this before. And I also have, I think, a compelling reason to come on the air with you guys, especially here on YouTube, because this is kind of a follow-up to a video that several people have watched. If you go back in my channel, I recently published a video where I opened up this small box. I haven't even taken the things out of the box yet. I've been kind of keeping them all together. This collection was from Muskogee, Oklahoma. That's not where the scout did his time in scouting. That's just where it came to me from. And what happened here was that a couple moved into a house, like a farmhouse or something. There was a shed on the property, and they were going through the shed. Now, this is the story I've been told, so I'm playing along. And they discovered a trunk in the shed, and the trunk had this old scout stuff in it. And so they communicated with me and sent me pictures back and forth. We talked on the phone, and I purchased the collection, and it arrived in this really small box. And if you go and watch the unboxing video, you can kind of see that story. So the follow-up is I got this box in the mail yesterday. So the folks turned out they were holding out on me. They still had more stuff, and they had not shared that with me. So I pressed them to kind of say, hey, I've already spent this money with me. Will you show me everything else that's left? And they did, and made them basically another deal to purchase the rest. And so I want to kind of do this live unboxing of this one because I think it just ties it all together. So I will hold off on that. I've got a couple of more things I want to tell you about before we do that, because that's going to be kind of the finale. That's why some of you are here. Let me give you a little update on something else I have been putting out there. I have been working on my Council shoulder patch collection. And in the title of this unboxing or this live video, I mentioned eBay fails. I also mentioned this in my Scouting Hot Finds newsletter. So here's how I want to phrase that. I am a pretty big eBay seller, but these are not my fails as an eBay seller. These are my fails as an eBay buyer. And I thought some of you might relate to this. And also you might have a little consolation, knowing that even someone who's as active on eBay as I am, active on whatever platforms, that sometimes I, as a simple buyer on eBay, also kind of get, the wrong side of the deal. And I'll give you those examples right now. So I have been chasing down the final needs that I have for Council shoulder patch collection. And back in probably November, I went on eBay, which would have been, for those of you watching this in the future, which would have been 5 months ago. And I spent maybe a couple $100 buying maybe 20 or so random Council shoulder patches that I didn't have. And these weren't even the expensive, hard, rare ones. These were some of the more common ones where I had gone through my warehouse and pulled out, ones that I could stick into my collection. But these were ones that I didn't have, and so I needed to get them. So here's the fail part. I purchased these items, and this, tell me if this happens to you. I purchased these items and kind of left them sitting in the envelopes on a spot on my desk and didn't open them for quite a while. I think in my mind, I sort of do things in batches. So I was kind of like, okay, well, I'm waiting till I get them all together, and then I'll open them up. And the way it kind of works is I have a little system here where I've got these holders, and like here's the Bronx Valley. So I've got a spot ready for the Bronx Valley with a little label on it. And so I had these kind of sitting in my desk waiting for the patches to come in. So I finally did, after some months, go through the stack and go through there. And lo and behold, and this is what kind of bothers me as a buyer. I have on eBay, and I'm going to throw a stone here, at no one specifically, but I have like a 99.9 whatever 99% positive feedback rating, right? And so a lot of times I'm sure that people are that show me a lot of grace because of knowing who I am on the internet or through meeting at Traderies, whatever. And if I make a mistake, they don't leave me negative feedback. They email me, and we try to make it right. I know at least one guy recently who's kind of ticked off with me because he's had multiple problems with his orders over the last year, and he took time to write me a nice long eBay message and remind me of that recently. Thank you to whoever you are. You know who you are. And but anyways, I hadn't really thought about it like that until I kind of looked at these items that I bought, and darn if I didn't have not a 1% error rate. Like, of the dozen patches I bought, two of them, like, here's what happened. One of them came back and the patch is sewn. It was sewn with like stitches. Like, you could see it wasn't like just a little sewn. It was sewn. I was like, damn, well, okay, well, I'm not going to put that one in my collection. Of course, I go back to the eBay listing thinking that maybe I had done something wrong. And in the eBay listing, the picture in the listing doesn't show a sewn patch. So, I have some grace for people because I've done that myself. If I have multiple quantities of the same patch, I think they're all the same, when in reality, one might be a little dirty or something like that. In this case, something happened there, and the guy who sold me one that was sewn, he didn't catch it before he mailed it to me. And by this point, some months had gone by, and over a patch that was less than $10, I wasn't going to bring it up because it was a little bit on me that I hadn't checked behind it. Another one of the patches that I bought never showed up. I swear. There's no way that I missed it, because I do get a lot of mail here, and but I've been putting those CSPs in a very specific spot. And I looked and I looked, and I swear it never showed up. Again, $10 patch, less than $10, not going to raise a riot over it. If I'd been on top of it, I would have, been a little more on top of it. So the problem is that's happening right now. The exact same on the replacement. Okay, here's the deal. I had to go and buy the exact same patch from a different buyer because the first buyer never mailed it to me, or it got lost in the mail. But I'll just say never mailed it to me. I bought a replacement from another seller, and I pulled this up just to make sure I'm not crazy, just to give you the exact things. I bought the patch on let's see where it is, guys. Sorry to hold you up here. I bought the patch on March 8th. Okay, and if you're watching this in the future, it's a problem me sharing dates, but just go with me. March 8th. Today is March 22nd. I checked my mailbox on March 21st. It's not here yet. Even the guy's estimated delivery says March 14th through the 17th. So I bought it darn near 2 weeks ago, and it's still not here. I sent the seller a message last week on the 17th and said, hey, where's the patch? Heard nothing back. And here I am, the 22nd, no patch. So I'm telling you, it sort of makes me appreciate the fact that I'm shipping out a couple hundred orders a week and try to do a very good job of shipping quickly, and especially now with one of my new employees, answering questions that people send me. And then to be the buyer who's then dealing with a seller who, the patch is taking forever to get there. It says it's shipped. So being a seller, I know how that is. I'm going to give them grace and say, okay, yeah, I shipped it. But to not even respond to my message, is a little aggravating. So I sort of feel you guys, right? Well, anyway, so the one I'm waiting on is this one right here, Washington Crossing. I have two needs for this collection: Bronx Valley, Washington Crossing, and I haven't got the Washington Crossing in the mail yet. Now, this is just me being me. There is a patch in this envelope, that will really move my collection further along, but I don't want to open it yet because just for whatever reason, I don't want to say that my last CSP need for my entire collection was a frickin' Washington Crossing Council from, didn't come into existence until 2015. I want to open this one and put it in this holder before I open what's in this package, which might put me a lot closer. But I'm not doing that unboxing. That's I gotta wait. But I did get some other ones that I needed. These two I got from Steve Adams. Shout out to Steve Adams. He sold me these two privately. Again, just annoying ones that I didn't have. The Western Massachusetts was formed in 2008, and the Garden State was formed in 2012. But I just didn't have. I have a bunch of Garden States. I didn't have like a regular issue. I didn't want a SAP or a Jamboree. And then this one I did have to repurchase. And this one I got from a different seller, I think, and it was a mint version. So again, just Michigan Shores. Again, a more recent one from 2012. So that CSP collection is coming along nicely. All right. Again, this is what some of you came for. I'm going to do this unboxing. Let me just kind of turn around here and show you the back. So if any of you get my Scouting Hot Finds newsletter, you'll recognize this. And this does look like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So in my newsletter that I sent out, again, the date would have been March 22nd of 2022. I said that I was unboxing a lot of collections that I bought over the last 4 months that I've kind of just been putting to the side while I'm trying to get all my old inventory listed. And so what's happening, those are unopened collections that I've bought, and they're just kind of waiting to be processed, open and processed, film and unboxing, all that good stuff. But in all this, issue of like, basically what happened here was I didn't want to open these because I already had so much inventory that I was trying to deal with, sort, scan, list, etc., that I didn't want to just, let the floodgates open and have a whole bunch more stuff to deal with. So I've been kind of holding it back. But in doing all that, it's caused me to really think about what are some ways that I could try to help, as I say in my videos, recycle this scouting memorabilia, get it back into the hands of new collectors. And so an idea that I've kind of come up with and I've done some research on, I want to put it out to you here in this video. And then I also want to get your feedback. So I probably don't do this very often. And honestly, I get very little feedback with anything that I'm doing in this hobby. But perhaps it's because, people don't have time to spend their time giving me ideas or whatever, or they think I'm asking a rhetorical question. They don't think I really want their feedback. So let me say from the beginning, actually, I do want your feedback on this idea. I've reached out to someone who's kind of an expert in this field, and that was the first thing that she told me was that I should survey my audience and kind of see what they think. So let me kind of run this idea by you, and some of you will either think this is a great idea or you'll think I'm batshit crazy and this is really stupid. I don't know which, whatever, we'll see. Here's the idea. So have you ever heard of a subscription box? My family has done this with several different things. We actually currently have a subscription box that my daughter gets that has a certain type of skin cleanser, and she gets it monthly. Just arrives in the mail. It's automatically set up, no problem. It just comes. We've done this with food boxes before. Some of you might have tried. I can't remember the different names. There's a couple different companies that do this where you get a periodic subscription and you get meals delivered to you that are already, they have the recipe and they have all the food and the ingredients, everything's ready to go. HelloFresh, I think, is one of them. My wife is actually jokingly talking about setting us up on one of those because she's frustrated of trying to plan what the family's going to eat. So I've kind of got this idea of a subscription box. And here's what it would look like. Now, first off, I would say that for anyone who's like a super, super diehard collector, this subscription box is probably not going to meet your needs. If you're the type of person that goes on eBay and you're scanning and searching for like the 5 patches that you need to fill this set, kind of like what I'm describing with this CSP collection, then the idea of a subscription box might not be that big a deal. But here's what I'm kind of thinking, collectors young and old who are maybe newer to the hobby, one of the challenges of this hobby is that in some ways, it's kind of a little bit opaque in that in order to kind of gain the knowledge to be able to speak the language and participate in this hobby and know what you're doing, which I think is important, it's a little difficult. You think about most any other hobby, there's, if I wanted to get into Pokemon cards or I don't know, whatever else people are into, there's books and there's how-to videos and there's whole websites and blah, blah, blah. Our hobby is so niched down and so small that it's a challenge. And many of the resources, if I could say, hey, go to this website and there's every, reference book that's ever been made in this hobby, go there and click on that and have it delivered to your house, then that would be one thing. But as you might know, in our hobby of scouting memorabilia collecting, almost all of the reference guides were low run issues. They're all out of print. Some of the authors have given that up. Some of them passed away. And so to me, it's kind of hard to get some of the knowledge that would be helpful in this hobby. And so here's kind of my idea. My idea would be to have a subscription box. Haven't figured out the pricing and all that, so just skip past all that. But essentially, each month, the new collector would get a box, and it would have a theme to it. And the theme would help me decide what goes in the box. So let's just say, for example, if the theme was council shoulder patches, okay? So what would happen is in that subscription box, the collector would get a range of council shoulder patches, but also then some reference items that would help them learn about how to collect that. So for example, maybe they would get, because I like the historical part, telling the story, maybe they would get like a couple of community strips, and maybe they would get a red and white strip. And then maybe obviously they would get some regular council shoulder patches. And then maybe they would get an SAP, a special issue. And the idea would be to kind of build a box that kind of introduces them to the idea of collecting that topic. But then also there would be kind of a digital vault specific to that box where they could click on it and it would go and take them to some references. Like I have a CSP checklist that I have created in doing this collection. I could share with them some of the other publicly available checklists. I could, give them a link to ISCA where if they chose to join, they could download the CSI guide. You kind of get the idea. And also I thought about, I could write up my own original information about collecting that, kind of explaining, going from, khaki and red community strips to red and white strips to, to CSPs, and just kind of my own little summary, if you will, would be part of that. And then, being that I also own Best Hobby pages, I would include samples of Best Hobby pages in there as well. So I kind of have this idea that I think would work of like saying, okay, here's your box. This is kind of like your starter kit for collecting council shoulder patches. And that's box number 1. And then, the second month would be a different theme. And again, the idea would be to introduce a new collector in how to pick this up as something they would collect. And I've kind of, jotted this down. I've jotted down lots of ideas for different themes that I think would work. It would take some time for me to kind of pull together, the resources, because I would want them to be really good. I probably would, make some little videos to go with it and all that. But anyways, I think this idea could really work. But the lady that I reached out to, she was very, very generous with her time. She said, hey, what you really need to do is poll your audience, survey your collectors, and see if they think this would work. So that's what I'm doing. I'm putting this out here in a video today, just to see if you have any feedback for me. And you can email me, I guess, jason@scoutpatchcollectors.com, or you could leave it as a comment in the video if you want to do that as well. It's just an idea. My problem is I'm sitting on thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of patches. And, I could work every day for the rest of my life trying to list all these patches, and I would never get them listed. And one of my goals has always been to try to encourage new collectors, young and old, to get into the hobby. And so I'm sort of pairing this together. Like, how could I help move out, recycle some of these patches that I'm sitting on, but then also maybe have a way for new collectors to kind of get educated, and then also kind of get a start in different categories in the hobby. So that's the idea. We will see, but I'm looking for your feedback. All right, so here, the finale, the reason why some of you are here, you would remember that I did a unboxing video in which I unboxed this collection. It included a wonderful early 30s square merit badge sash from an Eagle Scout. And this guy was an Eagle Scout in Austin, Texas. Included 2 crispy 35 Jamboree patches. And then the thing that I was really charmed with was all of the paperwork, right? Paperwork that I had never seen from the 35 Jamboree. And interestingly, anybody who's watching this video, I did have someone leave a comment on the video. They said, they sort of jokingly said, "Oh, was it canceled because of COVID?" Or something like that. And I said, actually, yes, it was polio. So, I'm not sure that we always assume everybody knows these things, but maybe not. Maybe some younger collectors don't know that there was a polio, was a sort of a real bad deal back in the 30s and before there was a vaccine for it. And so, yeah, that's why it was canceled. So let's open up this box, which will be kind of part 2 and the finale of this 1935 collection. Now, in this box, I'm going to get I already, I've seen the pictures, obviously. There's a few cool items from this guy who was a scout and was a Sea Scout in Austin, Texas. And there's a couple of cool items in here. Let me see if I can bend the camera down a little bit, just because I know you might be able to see in the box a little bit. Sorry to play with the camera. I know that's really aggravating if you're watching. Oh, that's not such a bad angle. I didn't chop my head off. So here's the box, and we have some 1935 stationery, which, again, I went on and on and on and on in the original video about the condition of these items because of the fact that they were paper items and supposedly had been stored in a shed and a footlocker, and I just couldn't believe that they were still in such good condition. So even to the point of like the back, like Troop, Scout, Region section. I mean. And that's just a beautiful little seal there for the 35 Jamboree. I just think that's super cool, which was kind of weird to me. Again, the people, they had held out this stuff. I guess they thought that this was sort of a sampling of what they had, and then this was me buying the rest of it. So special. Okay, now this is interesting. Some of you might be curious about this. National Scout News Bulletin, special Jamboree issue. Dated June of 35, and this is all information for Sea Scouts about the Jamboree, and it's a 4-page newsletter, essentially. Check that out, including a map of the Sea Scout camp at the 35 Jamboree. Again, paperwork. I'm not a big paperwork guy, really am not, but to get this cool stuff from the 35 Jamboree is very cool. All right, here's the guy. The guy was a part of ship called the Star of Texas, and this is his, I know this might be backwards, guys, but apprentice Sea Scout to ordinary Scout. This is his card. It's got signatures on the back and like his little advancement thing that he did. So, again, pretty cool stuff. Got a little advancement thing, his camp aid and log book, and he's got a 35 sticker on the back. These were in a cellophane, and I already know because I got one of these in the earlier collection that these are kind of stuck together. So even though they're the original cellophane, this cellophane, if I mess with it too much, just disintegrates. And these stickers are kind of, I won't say glued together, but they are kind of sticking together. I have to be real delicate about that. So I'm not going to mess around with those. But the cool thing is there's multiples of them. So when I bought this collection, they only sent me one, but this is kind of all the other stuff. I think there was a copy of this in the earlier box as well. So this is, again, for 35 Jamboree, this is kind of like, I don't know, let's see the date on this. Let's see, behalf of Jamboree Committee, second call, President Roosevelt, here's the map. So it's a nice little printed thing. I'm not sure when this came out in the span of that. A couple of square neckerchiefs. This one's got the seal from the old headquarters in New York. And this one, of course, is just the regular. This one had some more neckerchiefs. So here's a blue 35 and a blue 35. And then do you know what's going to come out next? Yeah, you're right, a red 35. So one of the letters that I read when I opened this other collection was that they were mailed as part of the insurance settlement. They were mailed these red and blue neckerchiefs, and so that was kind of part of the deal there. Old Scout Handbook, you'd recognize this one being from the 30s. I can check the date on it, but I'm pretty sure, I'm not really good with books, but I'm pretty sure I've looked at these enough to know. So this one was this is the 14th printing, March 1931. That guy. Here's a 35 Boy Scout diary in really nice shape. 1932 Boy Scout diary, 1936, 1933. And then there's a little bit of Sea Scout stuff is the last things in the box. So here's his full square Sea Scout neckerchief. And then some of you will think this is pretty cool. So here's his Sea Scout hat. Now, I probably should know what these are called. I'm sure there's a name for these Navy-style hats, but it doesn't say here. No, yeah. So there's his hat, and then his name is embroidered. Let's pull that out. Oh, no, I should have pulled it out. Okay, yeah. A real 1930 straight pin. So I think this is the level below quartermaster. Sorry, I had a brain that freeze there. So I think that's Reddyman or Abelman. And then he had these little name strips, which are kind of unusual that he had his name embroidered on. And then he had an Austin Sea Scout community strip. So that's pretty much it. There's some little. The only other things in the box I can just show you here is there's this is some sort of deer antler thing that was used for something, and I don't quite know what all that would have done, but anyways, people made little handmade things. So that's kind of the finale of it. You know, looking in here, just again, kind of more of the same, but cool stuff nonetheless. And glad to get the whole ideas if they think that it would work, or you maybe have like, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you try that? That would kind of give me somewhere to go. So, poll the audience. Jason Spangler, the SanteeSwapper. Go to my website, like I always say, scoutpatchcollectors.com. There you can find everything I'm doing with my videos and other podcasts and stuff I'm doing. I am trying to get a lot of my other things going. I'll show you guys here. I'll do the camera deal. So I have a content calendar up there. I have a content calendar, and I'm trying to keep track of when I need to get things done. So, for example, this week I am due to publish a public unboxing to everybody, and I'm also going to be doing. I'm behind. I've got some. I was supposed to put out a podcast on March 15th, but I haven't even interviewed anybody. So, yeah. So that's why I need a content calendar so I can keep track of things. So, thanks a lot. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching.